Speaking of Trump, he said this morning that I have a meeting today with Russ Vought of Project 2025 fame. Of course, that was the project that Democrats demonized, went after hard in the campaign, saying, look at this, and they tried to campaign very hard on it. And then Donald Trump, when he was running for the second term, said, well, this Project 2025 thing, I don't really know much about it.
Some on the right, severe right, came up with this Project 25, and I don't even know. They are extreme. I mean, they're seriously extreme. But I don't know anything about it. I don't want to know anything about it.
I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it.
Project 2025, I've said 100 times, I know nothing about it. I had nothing to do.
All right, folks, brace yourselves because this is shameless even by Trump standards. After more than a year of lying and denying, earlier today, Donald Trump finally admitted the truth, which is that he knew all about Project 2025, and he is deliberately, gleefully unleashing one of its key architects, Russ Vought, against the federal government to punish the Democratic Party during this government shutdown by surgically, deliberately targeting agencies and benefits and programs that they believe benefit Democrats, liberals, progressives, blue cities, blue states, Democratic voters and constituents. And we have to talk about it because the whole thing is stunning and cynical even by Trump's standards. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go. All right, friends, Donald Trump, of course, is the most pathological and prolific liar in the history of politics. There is no doubt. You could probably put every Democratic politician alive together, and they probably lie collectively less than Donald Trump does as an individual. But this is shameless. This is just genuinely shameless. Okay, I want to read you what Trump said, and then I'll remind you of what Project 2025 was, in case you forgot or in case you're new to politics, which is entirely possible. And if you are new to politics, my condolences. Terrible time to try to dive into this. But Trump said earlier today, I have a meeting with Russ Vought, he of Project 2025 fame, that's the key part, to determine which of the many Democrat agencies, most of which are a political scam, he recommends to be cut, and whether or not those cuts will be temporary or permanent. I can't believe radical left Democrats gave me this unprecedented opportunity. They are not stupid people, so maybe this is their way of wanting to quietly and quickly make America great again. This is shocking. Okay, so for those of you who followed this channel, you know what Project 2025 is if you followed it during the election. For those of you who didn't, Project 2025 is the vast, complex, comprehensive blueprint. And I say blueprint because they literally put pen to paper. It was like a 1,000-page PDF file or 1,000-page book. And they actually did sell, like they bound it and they actually sold physical copies of the book. It was created by a bunch of right-wingers, MAGA Republicans, MAGA intellectuals, people, a shit ton of people who worked for the Trump administration. There was a lot of overlap between Trump administration officials, Trump campaign officials, and Project 2025 authors. The Venn diagram was basically a circle between the two. And it was so unpopular that Donald Trump, as you saw in that compilation, just tried to distance himself from it. The polling on it was objectively atrocious. Google searches about it went through the roof. It impacted Trump's polling. Democrats pounced on it as well they should. They were like, listen, Trump is going to try to use this blueprint to turn the United States of America into an authoritarian right-wing hellscape. And because it was so objectively unpopular, Trump had to lie to try to put distance between him and it. After the election, it has infiltrated the entire government, okay? There's a Project 2025 tracker, which takes the provisions and policy prescriptions of Project 2025 and compares them to what the Trump administration in the second term has actually done, either through congressional statute or agency regulation or executive order. And 9 months in, we're already at 48% completion. That's why they wrote the damn thing to begin with, is because it was basically a how-to guide. Donald, if you win the presidency, day one, start implementing this shit. Okay, and that's what they've done. This is staggering. As Governor Newsom's press office notes, Trump tried to distance himself from Project 2025, but 9 months in, he's already put 48% into action. And now, with this shutdown, he's all in, embracing the plan's disastrous cuts and divisive policies. But now that he's won the election, and the midterms are, more than a year away, Trump is finally saying, actually, yeah, I knew all about it. And this guy, Russ Vought, this is the director of the Office of Management and Budget. It's a key, powerful position in the Trump administration, which was yet further proof that, of course, there was an incestuous relationship between the Trump campaign, the first Trump administration, and Project 2025, and therefore the second Trump administration. And now Donald Trump's like, yeah, this guy, big player in Project 2025. Yeah, I knew all about it. Yeah, that's why I picked him. And now I'm going to have him do some Project 2025 shit. And when I tell you they are being surgical in their cruelty to try to punish the Democratic Party, not just the politicians, but the constituents, the 50% of this country, the people who vote for Democrats, support Democrats, who live in states and counties and districts represented by Democrats, it's shocking. And this is proof right here. So Russ Vogt goes, nearly $8 billion in green new scam funding to fuel the left's climate agenda is being canceled. More info to come from at Energy, the Department of Energy. The projects are in the following states: California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Vermont, Washington. It might have been Maine. Massachusetts, Maine. I think it's Massachusetts. But the point is this. They are all blue states. Blue states. Blue states, as people are pointing at Governor Newsom's press office. Reminder, 20% of all investment from the IRA and CHIPS Act went into Texas, yet not on the list. We're sure this was just an oversight and not politically motivated retribution. You may recall, during President Biden's last couple of years in office, we mentioned that the Inflation Reduction Act, Russ Vogt calls it the Green New Scam, but it was the most comprehensive climate change legislation in the history of the human race, not just in the United States, but in any government. So many of those green or renewable energy projects went to Republican states and districts. Red states and red districts benefited more from President Biden's legislation than did blue states. That's what Governor Newsom's pointing out. In Texas alone, about 20% of the investment from the Inflation Reduction Act and the CHIPS Act went to Texas, a single red state. Because Biden really was a president for everybody. He wasn't trying to screw over red states and only benefit blue states. Very often, red states benefited more than blue states. Again, objectively, morally superior to Donald Trump. And so you would think, well, if Russ Vogt really wants to, save money, and this has nothing to do with partisanship, he'd have hit Texas. But he didn't, because Texas is a Republican state. So he's perfectly content to allow President Biden and the Democratic Party's legislation and their investment to persist in red states, but he is ruthlessly, specifically targeting blue states. It's not about saving money. It never was. And that's what Donald Trump's post, what makes it so shameless, is he's bragging to the American people. He's bragging. He's like, I lied to you. And now I'm in power and you can't do a damn thing about it. So now I can tell you the truth. And the truth is this guy, who I hired, by the way, because he wrote in Project 2025 and was a major architect, which, by the way, I knew everything about, I'm going to unleash him and he's going to specifically target blue states. And the criteria, green new scam stuff. Well, those are in red states too, but those are creating jobs in red states. And red states voted for me. They support me, so they can stay. It doesn't matter how much they cost. It doesn't matter that Texas got an exorbitant amount of investment. That's fine, because it's not about money. It's not about fiscal responsibility. It's not about balancing the budget. It's about using the government to ruthlessly punish Democrats, liberals, progressives, and 50% of this country. 50%. It would be bad enough if he were specifically targeting the politicians, but he's not doing that. He's trying to hurt you. He's trying to hurt your loved ones. We've never seen anything like this from a Democratic president. This is uniquely Republican and uniquely Trump. So that's why I say, even by Trump standards, this is shameless. It's cynical, it's ruthless, it's cruel, and there needs to be outrage about this. You have to be pissed off about this, and you need to make a plan to vote these people out of office in 2026 and 2028. Your mission should be, anywhere there's a Republican on the ballot, to vote against that person. And that should be the mission of everybody, certainly everybody in these states, because here's the thing. That funding is not so surgical. I want to be clear. It's surgical in the sense that it's targeting blue states, but it's not so surgical that it's not hurting conservatives. There are a lot of conservatives in all of those blue states who will be impacted by what Trump's doing. You see what I'm saying? It's not like, okay, we're somehow surgically doing this where it's not only targeting blue states, but actually only liberals and progressives and Democrats in those blue states. No, it's going to hurt Republicans and Trump supporters and conservatives and libertarians and MAGA in those blue states who benefit from that investment, either in terms of the benefits of the investment or the jobs created by the investment in the first place. Stunning. Stunning, folks. And everybody's calling him out for it now, but Trump was lying from the beginning. He was totally full of shit. And you should never trust these people, and you should vote against Trump and the Republican Party in every damn election from now until the stars burn out. Just saying. And we're only 2 days into the shutdown. Who knows what they're going to try to do on day 3, on day 4, and day 5. But by the way, Democrats should hold the line. They should absolutely hold the line. This is the only leverage they have. This is drawing attention to it. Right now, the polling is favorable for the Democrats, and they need to make the case. Hey, Americans, wake up. Doesn't matter if you're liberal, progressive, conservative, independent. Donald Trump is ransacking the government, trying to hurt his own constituents, and transforming the government into the Project 2025 hellscape that he looked you in the face and said he had nothing to do with. He lied to your face, and now he's gleeful about it, and he's using his powers to punish you and your loved ones out of spite. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.